August 29th, welcome into Daily Cards Live. I'm Matthew Roccio, filling in for Joe Roderick. There it is. That's Bob Ramsey. It's kind of like going in reverse in your car. You got to flip it around. That's Bob Ramsey. And welcome in again to Daily Cards Live as here on ClavesOnline.com. We're going to talk a little Cardinals baseball after a huge win in the series against the Atlanta Braves. And then can they close out the month of August strong with 3 against the Cincinnati Reds? Before we get to that, though, how are you doing, Bob Ramsey?
I'm good. It's good to see you, Rocc. You and I will be talking a lot of hoops coming up in not too long, but it's always great to talk to you, well, about anything. And you're right. Great weekend of baseball. You know, even Friday night, the loss to Atlanta, I thought was indicative of how close these two teams are, closer than maybe we would have thought going in. And Jordan Montgomery, who has been as good, actually better than anybody on your staff since he's been with the Cardinals. He just had a couple little hiccups. He wasn't awful. He just wasn't as perfect as he had been. A great team like the Braves jumped him. But I thought it was a pretty representative weekend of baseball, and every game was fun to watch.
I think it's interesting that Montgomery was so bothered by his 2 starts ago, when he didn't make it through the 6th, I think, and he was like, I have more than that, and I was going to be better than that. And despite the fact that he didn't make it through the 6th, he looked really good, and so it was kind of one of those things where you're like, man, this guy's hard on himself even when he's playing well. That's interesting. And then of course he comes out the next game and just lights the world on fire, and so I'm not surprised that he had a little bit more of a rough game, because I think what that tells me is that there's some part of his game that isn't 100% dialed in. And when he gets it, he's one hell of a pitcher, as we saw, 2 starts ago. But I think his messaging from that 3rd start, and now what we saw in the 5th start, there's something he's dialing in that he hasn't got to consistently 100%. And that's kind of one of those, who do you want on your team? The guy who with bad form who runs to first, the guy with good form who runs to first at the same time. It's like, well, you want the guy with bad form. So if there's something even better, Jordan Montgomery, where he can kind of open this up consistently, the sky's the limit for this Cardinals pitching staff.
Yeah, well, the Cardinals identified something with him as they approached the trade deadline, because he just didn't come over, put on a uniform, and keep doing the same thing. It was addressed, and he started using his fastball more. So for him, as he's young but a veteran, to listen, want to get better. He understandably was a little bitter about being traded from the Yankees, and I think he pitches with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I don't see any reason why he's not going to be a terrific pitcher for quite some time.
It really was just a fun series against the Braves. First of all, just like to get the inane little fun stuff out. Tyler O'Neill becomes the first player ever to, in the same season, get a hit by pitch as a walk-in, as a walk-off run, and then in the same season get a walk that is a walk-off RBI, essentially. That is an insane thing for it to happen against the Braves the way it did. This weekend was just so much crazy baseball packed in. Like last night, the twists and turns just in, that 6th, that 7th, and the 8th was fascinating. It was an incredible series. When you have a World Series, obviously, roster that the Braves have, and kudos to them for locking up, I think, every single player on that roster for the next 12 years.
They do. I mean,
they locked them all up.
Very smart.
And then you have a team like the Cardinals, where if the pitching staff's on and the offense is doing what it's done at any point in the month of August, they look like a World Series contender as well. And it was just a great weekend of baseball. Some of the little things that kind of popped out that we want to talk about before we hit on the Reds. I think the big topic of conversation, obviously, is the usage of Ryan Helsley where they did. And it kind of, to simplify the argument, you can say it a lot of ways. Essentially, it comes down to, should a manager use his bullpen based on leverage and timing and matchups, or role? And there's some people out there who think that Ryan Helsley's your closer. You stick with him in the 9th inning no matter what. You get around the other pressure points in the lineup earlier in the game, but the last 3 outs are different, so on and so forth. So you keep Helsley in that spot, obviously. And I don't want to talk results here because that's pointless. Strictly talking about the process of going to Ryan Helsley earlier in the game when you're having a pressure moment, right at the moment when Dansby Swanson, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley are going to come up. Obviously, it goes poorly against Swanson, goes pretty well, exactly as it should against Riley and Olson, and as well as Darnot and Contreras. But what are your thoughts overall on just the process of going to Helsley earlier in the game?
Well, let's take the names out of it first and go
Okay.
by a general philosophy / policy. And as long as I've been around the game, not only being around managers and pitching coaches, moreover, being around relief pitchers. Relief pitchers want to know what their role is. They want to know. They may say, hey, I'm here for the team, whatever you need me to do. But they want to know what their role is. It allows them to prepare properly, to look at the game and see what's going on. 2, the metrics and mechanics people that are trying to ruin the game or reinvent the game.
I think can we give them the benefit of the doubt and go with reinvent?
Which I think is actually worse.
Okay, fair enough.
Because the arrogance that they want to reinvent it and don't realize that they're ruining it. That's the problem. Here's the issue. Because here's what they think. They think each at bat, each inning is a game of blackjack. That there are no odds. That's what they think about. There's no such thing as clutch hitting and all those kinds of things. They think it's a game of blackjack.
Yeah.
That's when it comes to the 9th inning, it is proven, it's tried and true. The last 3 outs are not the same as other outs in the game. They're not the same. And I can show you myriad examples, but those who are trying to win the other side of the argument, that would say it's anecdotal and it doesn't matter. Well, here's the math. If you want some math, it's real easy. When you make a mistake in the 6th, let's talk about leverage spots, right? In the 6th or the 7th or the 8th inning, you still have time to make up for a mistake.
Yeah.
As we saw last night, you still have time. If you'd have given up that home run in the 9th, bye-bye, good night. Cardinals can't compete with the Braves. What do we do now? That's the headline. Bye-bye. It's over. But so now let's apply it. And I got to be Captain Kirk a little bit. I got to change your question in the equation a little bit, because here's what I believe the Cardinals are going through right now at the back of their bullpen. Before he took the extended paternity leave, we all agree for a month, maybe 6 weeks, Helsley was clearly the closer, right? Partly because of his performance and also because of Gallegos and his shaky performance, right? Wouldn't we would agree with that, correct?
I think I would slightly change your premise in that Cabrera, sorry, Helsley, my bad. Continue. Go ahead.
So then, so I think what has happened though, Gallegos has had more opportunities lately. 2 reasons. 1, because of Helsley's availability, not just paternity leave, but not normally being able to pitch back-to-back games. He did this weekend, but normally that hasn't been the case. And Gallegos' own performance in this, call it 2-week span. But I don't think, and the Cardinals are smart not to anoint him. They almost always do that and then bite themselves. They haven't anointed him the closer. I think what you have is an A-B closer situation. So depending on matchups, it doesn't matter between the 2 of them. And so either guy can close right now, and it allows Helsley to get the time off he needs in close games and allows Gallegos to be a closer. Now, it's all performance-based, right?
Yes.
It's all performance-based. And we can argue style points with setup guys and lefty relievers and really any other position on the field. But the closer has nothing to do with style. It really eschews analysis. Did you get the save or did you take the loss? That's it. I don't care how you got there. Did you save the game or did you take the loss? Oh, so and so drives me crazy. Did he get the save? Yeah, but no, there's no buts. Now, when he starts blowing saves, now we can talk about it. But the style doesn't matter anyway. Yank his ass out of there. He's not closing the game out.
Okay, so I understand the idea, the mindset, so on and so forth. My counter that, and this is has to be, in my opinion, just seems like what the thought process that Marmol had, which is simply in that moment with the game where it was at. Did you trust Gallegos to come up and face Dansby Swanson, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley? Because with the way
Now,
he's
wait a
been
minute.
pitching
That's not a
lately,
fair question.
why not?
Because you got 8 men in the bullpen. If Gallegos is my closer,
He's not your closer.
who is?
The hell's is your closer?
No, he's not. He proved it last night. He didn't get the save, did he?
Or again, I think the question.
He's
I think
not the
we're answering
closer.
the question, which is leverage and matchups is going to matter more than role. In a situation like that, I think Helsley, again, it didn't work out, but process. I think Helsley was the best matchup against that part of the order. And if you shut them down, it completely changes the game. Obviously, it goes poorly for you, but when you talk about leverage in situations like that, heck, if you want to talk about the mindset of handling the ninth inning, and I guess for your argument was less about mindset of the ninth inning and more about mindset of roles and knowing where you're supposed to, knowing when you're going to be pitching and those
Well,
kind of things.
both are
But
true though because of
yeah,
the
so
importance of the last 3 outs.
so Helsley has shown that he can pitch in high leverage moments in the ninth inning,
But not
and
every day though.
I
That's
know
his
that,
problem.
but you go to him in a moment like that where you like the matchups better than anybody else in the bullpen. Again, none of this, in my opinion, I don't care what Dansby Swanson did. I don't care if he hit the ball 500 feet in that situation. That doesn't matter to what I think about what it should have done there. I simply like the idea that Ali Marmol is willing to break up the roles and say these are the matchups for us best tonight in these situations, and whether that be and whether that be lefty righty, whether that be previous matchups between the pitcher and the hitter, whether or something along the lines of we got to space somebody out to use them another night. I don't care what the rationale is. Him being willing to break from the convention and prove that he's not locked into one mindset. I just think that flexibility is important, especially in a rookie manager. And I think that at times flexibility has been an issue in the previous young managers that the Cardinals have seen. And just seeing that mindset from Marmol as we get closer to the playoffs continues to give me a lot of confidence in how he's been handling this team.
I'm glad you used the word confidence. I basically agree with what you're saying, which makes for a boring podcast. So let's move on. But I do basically agree with what you're saying. But what if you went to Helsley because you were afraid and had no confidence in anybody else?
I think there's like 20% of that, I think.
Right. Now, but see, what I would say is for the 2-3 hitters in that lineup, I probably would have wanted a left-hander. I probably would have wanted a lefty. The problem is facing Swanson.
Oh, no. Swanson hits like 30 points better. Riley hits 110 points better against lefties against than righties.
No, I know that, and that's why the game has changed. That you're right, because of the 3 batter minimum rule, you were kind of forced into using Helsley. But I'm telling you, both Gallegos and Helsley are going to get saves the next 5 weeks of this regular season. I'm telling you, I haven't talked to Ollie. So this is what I'm observing, that the Cardinals are going with buy closers.
I will say there are some other pitchers I would have been comfortable seeing in that situation. But again, I like the fact that there's some flexibility there. I like what Marmol has been doing with the bullpen the majority of the season. And,
yes.
and it was a gutsy move. And again, it didn't pay off, but I don't care about the results. I care that that mindset is being used right now in the Cardinals dugout. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about the games in the coming up here. They're playing the Cincinnati Reds tonight. It's a 5:41 pitch. If you want to know, all three games in this Red series are 5:41 pitches. It is Miles Michaelis facing off against Chase Anderson. Bob Ramsey, take it away with the rest of the lineups.
Yeah, let's go with the visiting Cardinals first. And it's the top four guys that have become the regulars, as I've been calling for months. Ollie finally started listening. Nootbaar in right, Donovan hitting second at second. Then Goldie, though, is DHing tonight with Arenado playing third, hitting cleanup. Then it's O'Neill with the hit by pitch walk-off, the big 3-run homer. O'Neill moves to 5. Pujols in there at first base, 6. Corey Dickerson, 7th in left field. Then it's Kisner catching and Tommy Edman. Michaelis, of course, the pitcher. For the Reds, you don't know any of these guys. Here's a couple of guys you know. Jonathan India leads off and plays second base. Fraley is in right field. Farmer, who's probably their last remaining decent player. Farmer is hitting third. Then it's Solano playing third, cleaning up. Friedel in center field, 5th. Senzel's the DH. Then it's Fairchild in left. Moran at first base. Robinson catching. And off the scrap heap, hasn't pitched in a year, Chase Anderson on the mound. What does he have left? What has he got going? What will the Cardinals do against the ghost of Anderson? All remains to be seen. But you like the Cardinals' chances, certainly matchup-wise, with these two lineups and pitching rotations for the next 3 days.
Yeah, I like the move here. Obviously, you give Pujols the start against the soft tossing righty who hasn't seen work in a long time. So I think that's a pretty smart move overall. If you're going to give, these are the exact kind of righties that Pujols should be getting, 3 or 4 at bats at. So that makes a lot of sense. Other than that, the only big thing that I really take away from this lineup is Tyler O'Neill in the 5 spot.
In center field.
And in center, I mean, he can play center field. I have no doubt about that.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, Carlson had locked that job down, and now, hey, and the Cardinals are telling him, son, you got to produce.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Carlson played an incredible center field, and
very good.
And I think we better than a lot of people expected, and that's probably shifting my usage of credible a little bit, but nonetheless, it was a very good center field. And the thing is other than being worried about him pulling a hammy, Tyler O'Neill's a great center fielder. He has the speed. And I think it was Saturday night's game, that one that got kind of deep on him. He made a great run on it. He couldn't get the throw into second. Thought maybe gets a little bit better run on it, he might be able to step into the throw a little bit. That was really only the only critique I had of Tyler O'Neill in center field from what I saw. But if he is good enough and he's producing at a level where he can be the 5-hole hitter consistently in this lineup, it's then they can be the offense they've been throughout August. And the offense they've been throughout August is the best offense in baseball. And with a shortened rotation down to Waino, Michaelis, Montgomery, and maybe Quintana, combined with the best offense in baseball, they can make a run in the playoffs. And so seeing Tyler O'Neill in the 5-hole, building that consistency, if he can put it together throughout September, much like he did last year, it just completely changes the outlook that you can lean on. We know what they can be, but it's the question of this Cardinals lineup is, can you lean on it consistently to be that, or is it going to be the roller coaster game in and game out? Tyler O'Neill in the 5 spot, hitting, an OPS around 740, 800. That's that lineup on a consistent basis.
O'Neill, it seems a bit hopeful to be looking for him to be that guy. The thing that makes it worth a push in the lineup is that he was your best player last year. Yeah. So it's not maybe someday. No, we saw it. Can he go back to being that guy? So there is evidence of him being that guy. Hell, he was hitting third last year. He can do it. Yeah. Will he do it? And we got 5 weeks probably to find. They probably won't go 5 weeks if he's not getting it done. But they're hopeful, and it's absolutely worth the effort to give it a shot to try and get him back to where he was. I agree with you.
Yeah, I love Donnie Baseball in the 2-hole as well. That's just this is a lineup that if some of these young guys keep producing, and if guys like Dickers, if pretty much if the outfield stabilizes or even goes to 80% of what it's been in month of August, then I just have a completely different, feel about this offense than I did in, let's say, early July.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah, I
had
agree.
obviously the difference in the pitching staff, and here we are.
Yep.
Cardinals versus the Reds, 5:40 today. Like Rammer said, the Reds with a little bit of a righty off the scrap heap and Chase Anderson facing off against Miles Michaelis. 5:40 p.m. first pitch. It's like that all three games against the Reds. Cardinals looking to close out August strong against the division rivals. That's Bob Ramsey. I'm Matt Rocchio. This has been another edition of Cardinals Live. Before we go, though, we want to tell you about our wonderful sponsors, including, of course, Royal Banks of Missouri.
Royal Banks, for better service means better banking. Call them 314-212-1500. One of the great bankers at your local branch will get you started to help you find the product you need to get to where you want to be financially. Royal Banks, where better service means better banking.
And of course, Munganess St. Louis Acura. They're going to tell you a little bit more about them in a moment. But I want to tell you about the fact that I just went there this past Wednesday to get a couple repairs, get my state emissions inspection and everything. It's just the simplest thing in the world. Making the appointment online is the easy as heck. You're able to type in whatever you need to be done. You drive right in. You sit in this wonderful lounge. They got drinks. They got snacks. They got those like blueberry muffins you get at the store that are like this big. It's literally I might go scratch a tire. I might go put a hole in one of my tires just so I can get another one of the
They
damn
had
muffins.
you at muffin.
They had me a blueberry muffin. I'm a sap for a muffin. I just am. So that's Munganess St. Louis Acura. They also have a wonderful selection of cars, and you don't even need to buy your car there to get it fixed. They're just that trustworthy. So and at this point, when I'm done with the car I'm using now, it's undeniable where I'm getting my next one. So we love those guys over at Munganess St. Louis Acura. Thank you to them so much. And of course, thank you to Bob Ramsey for joining me today. I believe Joe Roderick will be back on Daily Cards Live. Thank you so much for listening. Rammer, thank you so much for today. You have a great rest of yours.
Enjoy it, buddies. Talk to you soon.
All right. Enjoy the Cardinals. Have a great day, St. Louis.
St. Louis Acura has an unbeatable selection of new cars arriving daily, like the all-new 2023 Acura Integra. We also have a great selection of over 200 pre-owned and factory precision courtesy vehicles with finance rates as low as 1.9% for 36 months with approved credit. And we've added Saturday service hours to our newly renovated service facility. Don't forget, we'll buy your vehicle here at our dealership or from the convenience of your home. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.